Our next inductee is a guy that I had a chance to interview tonight for a television piece that they're putting together. And I could still be back there listening to him and talking to him and having him talk about his experiences. What a great guy. Sam McCullum was out of Flathead High School in Kalispell, Montana. He played for Tom Perrick and Sonny Holland at Montana State University. And back in the days when they didn't throw the football very much, because you had quarterbacks like Paul Dennehy who would rather hand the ball off. Now, Paul was a great one and a Hall of Famer in his own right. But Montana State University, in his years as a Bobcat, I think he caught 16 touchdown passes, which at that time was unheard of. And it's still one of the top efforts for a Bobcat football player. Sam McCullum was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in 1974, 1975. He played for the Vikings and the Seahawks and then back to the Vikings. He was a guy that was involved in a lot of things in the NFL and made things better for players. And that's what I remember most about when I read things about Sam McCullum, that he was a player's player and he was good for the league. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our video screen, Mr. Sam McCullum.
Seahawks and a great receiver, Sam McCullum was called to the NFL. Bunch of with his hands. We remember most of the crazy years.
I'm Sam McCullum. I started in 1974 as a rookie with the Minnesota Vikings. It's been 2
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for induction into the Montana NFL Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Sam McCullum.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Congratulations to the other inductees that were going in today. I've had a chance to meet them in the last couple of days, and it's been quite wonderful, to say the least. So we were given 6 minutes to speak, and so far no one's kept to that 6 minutes. So I want you to know that, but I'm not going to. Bill, you took all of my time. I want you to know that. But that's okay. We're still going to talk about some things here. You heard him talk that I was a player's player. I enjoyed the game. Coming out of Kalispell, Montana, playing in the NFL was a long, long reach for me. I never thought I'd ever get there in my life. It was, I'm the second oldest of 8 kids. My dad was in the military. That's how I got to Kalispell. There was a base in Lakeside. You ever been to Kalispell? You know there's a small town about 15 miles south of Kalispell. It's called Lakeside. And that's where my dad was stationed at. That's how I found Montana. So we left Mississippi in 1967, the summer when there was an awful lot of segregation in the South. We went from being where I never got a chance to eat at a counter with someone else different other than black people. There was the all-white areas and the all-black areas. I went to Montana. It was totally different. I was accepted from the day I walked in the school. But I was accepted in the school itself, which was a wonderful place. And what I found was I had things that people knew I had that I didn't know I had. Meaning, here I was a sophomore in high school, had never ever played an organized sport in my entire life. I went around playing around on the basketball during the intramurals, so my coach, a guy named Tom Gilliam, saw me play, screwing around. He said, you should come out for basketball. Okay, because I could jump and I could run. Literally, that's what I had. They had to teach me how to dribble, how to shoot, what a play was, but had no clue. Had no clue. But I was there, and I went out as a sophomore because I was so fast and so strong and I could jump. I was on the team. We had a pretty good team in those days. And then the football coach and the track coach saw me. They talked me coming out for track. And then they talked me coming out for football. I had no idea what I was doing. So I went there, and they talked to me, and they encouraged me, which was amazing. I never had that before. Other than my family, it was us. So I had some people believing in me, teaching me, wanting to help me. That was pretty incredible. So as it turned out, went out for football as a junior. Very first practice, had this great coach, a guy you may know named Huz Jensen. Was a great coach up in Flathead High School. He was a classic. His first day of practice, for those of us that didn't have an idea what we were doing, he lined up, put an offensive lineman, a fullback, and then you. And he says, we're going to see what you're made of. First day of practice. See what you're made of. I didn't even have the right shoes. I think I had tennis shoes on. And so we line up, never put pads on. They showed me how to do that. Line us up, put this, and I'm tackling a guy. His name was Randy Augusta, who was a fullback. He weighed about 230 pounds. Here I am, my very first ever football practice. I'm tackling a guy. It didn't go well for me. Not at all. I broke my hand. I broke my knuckle. I missed the next 8 weeks of the season. But I got a chance to practice, and I played in one game that year. I came back the next year with an understanding of football, and I made All-State, played in the East-West Shrine game, and I made honorable mention All-American. So that was a start. And it wasn't until we were playing basketball in Bozeman, playing for the state championship, that we met. I went down for a recruiting trip at Montana State. Bill was there. A bunch of other guys, Jack Blake and a bunch of guys were there as well. We had a wonderful time. I met Jan Steenruth at that same time that I was being recruited. And I didn't know the recruiting process at all. And we got there, and we were going to go to school there, and Bill and I and a bunch of guys, Jack Blake and Steve Embers and Ron Hewlin, who's not here tonight, and a bunch of the guys decided we were going to go to school at MSU and make a change in the program. It was wonderful. But after it was over with, I realized they made me understand I needed to take something called the SATs and the ACTs. Had no idea what they were. Had no idea what they were. So I left one Saturday morning during the state championship. We were playing for the tournament that night, championship. I went to Helena, took the test, came back to MSU, and we played and won the state championship that night. That's when I was ready going to college. Had no idea until that time. No idea. But MSU had recruited me, and I was glad to get in. And I got there, Sonny Holland, all those guys, Dennis Erickson. We had guys, Joe Tiller. We had Sonny Lubick. We had a great cast of characters. And we played as a freshman. We went undefeated as a freshman team. And as a sophomore, we go out to play. And Sonny Holland's our head coach. And we were not very good at that time, but we were making a change in the culture. Well, in the summer of 1972, one thing I'm going to tell you is that my dad was in the military. He moved when I started college. He left Kalispell, moved to Minnesota, moved again when I was still in school, moved to Wisconsin. The summer of my sophomore year, they moved again back to Minnesota. And then when I went back to school in the summer of 1972 to start school again, they moved again at that time. So here it was, summer 1972. My parents were moving again. I wasn't having much fun. I quit school. I quit that summer thanks to Sonny Holland and Dennis Erickson. They sat me down, talked to me about staying. Otherwise, I was leaving because my parents were gone. I was out there by myself. It was the worst time of my life, but it was also the best time of my life. They talked me into staying. I stayed, had the best season I'd ever had. We won the championship that year, changed the whole culture at Montana State football that one year. But there were guys that were there that helped me because I was lost. My parents were gone. I was lost. Why was I lost? Because I was by myself. But I had the football family that was what saved me. Our football family was incredible. We were together all the time. And I still got to ask myself, we're talking about being together. As a freshman, they put us in a dorm. 35 guys, 18 and 19 years old, in the same dorm, just being away from school for the first time. Someone thought they were doing a good thing. Someone thought they were doing something very positive. Coach, I hope you guys don't do that still. Trust me, that's not a good idea. If you don't do that now, it's not a good idea. But as it turned out, we all grew together. We all grew. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about a lot of things. And my football family saved me. They saved me in a lot of ways. Because my parents are in Minnesota. I'm the second of 8. My dad's a military guy. You don't make much money in the military. And so it was my football family that helped me get through. A lady named Mary Shriver was in the front office of our staff with Sonny Holland and Tom Perrick. Many days I was very lonely. She let me use the phone to call home, which at that time was a violation. Just to call home was a violation of the rules, just to call home. But she did. We were always very poor because we had no money, but it was something that MSU gave me. And the players that I played with, and Bill's here is one of my teammates at that time for the full 4 years. We had Ron Hewlin, we had Jack Blake, we had Bob Crabb, we had Dudley Lutton, a bunch of guys that we started together with, we finished together, that we were together a lot. And thank God for that. Because at that time, in the 1970s, Montana was not the most tolerant place for people of color. We're not very tolerant. I left campus to go places and do things. You can't believe what I've experienced. The threats, the racism, the ugliness, it was ugly. I came back to campus, it was a whole nother world. It was where I could grow and develop, where I could learn and be a person. And that football family and that sports family at MSU was amazing. And I gotta tell you right now, if it wasn't for that football family, I wouldn't be here today. So Montana State, your football family, Coach, I know you do this, it is wonderful, and it does work, and you've touched a lot of kids' lives. You may not realize it, but you do, and it does save a lot of people trouble. So I want to thank you as a coach of Montana State, the coach at University of Montana, the coach at Carroll College. All you guys are around. Coaching is not easy, and when you guys touch people's lives in the right way, it turns things around. And I'm a classic case because I was not a very good student. I was not a very good athlete. I was not a very good person because I was bitter at times because people were mean to me and I was mean to them. But that football family taught me that I could be myself, I could learn, I could grow, and be somebody. And that football family, that sports family did it for me. And I was lucky enough in 1975, because of the football family, to end up in Minnesota. I got drafted in 74, January 75, the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, I come back that year and I was broke. Why was I broke? They put in the paper how much money we made. Stuff to hide. Everybody bought me a drink. In college, everybody who ever asked me for anything, I gave them, and I gave, and I gave, and I gave, and before long, I was broke. Before my second year in the league, I ended up moving back home with my parents, which were very fortunate. And lucky enough, I made the team, and I put myself on a budget, and it worked. Thank God for my dad. And on top of that, I met my wife, who's here tonight. I met in the summer of 1975, and we've been together ever since. So she's been there, and she was a great part of helping me understand about being somebody, and not being everybody's person, but being somebody to myself. She believed in me, and she taught me a great deal about believing in myself. But I want to thank you guys, because I know I'm going to my time, but I want to say this right now. As I talk to a lot of kids a lot about my experience, I tell them many times that, don't be afraid to dream, because I didn't have a dream when I was in high school. I really didn't. I didn't know I could play college football. I didn't think I had a chance to play pro football until after my junior year when this guy, Gil Brandt, walked up and sent me a letter saying, I think you can play at the next level. I had no idea. So I didn't have a dream. But I tell kids about dreaming. Don't be afraid to dream. Don't expect the unexpected, because good things happen when you reach and you believe and you trust. And I trusted those guys. I trusted those coaches. I trusted that football family at Montana State. I trusted our university to be there for me, and they were. And they were there for a lot of people. So thank you guys. Thank you to the Montana Hall of Fame for this great honor, because I never would have dreamed, here I was, this junior going out for football in 1969, and breaking my hand the first day that I'd ever play football, much less play high school football or college football or pro football. I had no preconceived ideas. I just wanted to survive another day. And here I am, a long time after this that I was there. And so I want to thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you very much for the Hall of Fame, for this great honor. It means a great deal for somebody who had no idea they'd be here. But thank you.
I think it'd be safe to say that, folks, is what this is all about.